Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about 10 of the videos of the paid request. It's time for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. That could be any type of video, review, video game playthrough, topic, reaction, commentary, what have you. Now, this is for Race to Witch Mountain, the 2009 remake. Now, I'm not the most familiar with the original. I think there was the original, a sequel, and then there might have been like a kind of a sequel, but it didn't have some of the actors involved. Yeah, I don't know the details. I think there was 4 iterations of the story before this, though. You know, whether sequels or whatever. And believe it or not, I mean, even though it has Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who nowadays we look at understandably so with annoyance or, oh brother, another film with The Rock in it. I actually enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it when I first saw it. I enjoyed it watching it today. I think what it is, this director, and he's done other stuff. I think he worked on the game plan with The Rock, which was like his first Disney movie, which I was not a fan of that movie. But I think it was him or whoever, maybe the script, whoever made the right decision to just have it be a fast-paced action film, race film, hence the title. I mean, 10 minutes in, The Rock is a cab driver. These two kids get in the cab. He's like, what's going on here? He gets a lot of money, go in that direction. Okay, they're paying me. And boom, it's on. It doesn't take too long to get going. The action scenes is pretty fast and fluent in terms of doesn't take too long for another action scene to happen. And it's weird watching this. When you see The Rock nowadays, he looks so small back then. We know why, because HGH, whatever you want to put it, just made him. But then it's funny, like, you see how he is in this movie, and he's so small. He looks so different. So normal. The best way to put it. I think it helps that I don't hate The Rock, believe it or not. I liked him in wrestling. He's great in promos. When he was coming up, I'm like, man, I really like The Rundown. I don't mind the Walking Tall movie he did. But yeah, The Rundown's my favorite. And I'm like, okay, I'm curious to see what he does with his career. Wasn't big on the game plan, but this, I thought, okay, this is pretty entertaining. Escapism. Nothing deep about it. Nothing deep with the characters or anything. It's just a simple, straightforward, fast-paced. I almost said car chase movie, but just chase movie. But I think it helps that The Rock at this point, he didn't pick up a lot of the habits he would utilize later on. Like maybe he was a bit more controllable, he was a bit more maneuverable as an actor. Or maybe just the way he looks, the way he acts, it's easy to say he was just the same, and I can understand that, but I don't know, there's just certain things I know is a little bit differently when you see even an older one like this compared to what he does nowadays. Maybe that's just me. But the stories that The Rock's character used to be a driver for the mob, but he wants to go on the straight and narrow path. He has a taxi cab. He's working in Vegas. In fact, it's funny. One of the early passengers are 2 guys in Star Wars Stormtrooper outfits. Because there's this UFO expo and sci-fi convention. I say that's funny because this is 2009. It wouldn't be until 2012 when Disney bought Star Wars. So I think it's funny that you have a Disney film where you have two characters dressed in Star Wars costumes, and then it's 3 years later where Disney will actually buy Star Wars. So something about that baby, because I forgot about that part. I'm like, it told the future. It was ahead of its time. Other people in the film, Carla Gugino. She's someone that's worked at the UFO Expo. She's very much teaching about the seriousness of planets, and there's got to be something more out there than just us on our planet. She's an expert in UFO phenomena or the possibilities of it. Cheech Marin, he's an auto mechanic that they stop along the way to help get this cab fixed up. Nice to see Cheech there. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot to do, sadly, but it's nice to see him in there. Kind of a little 5 or so minute role. Gary Marshall's in the film, who's a director. He did films like Pretty Woman, among other stuff. He's there as a UFO expert who helps him out later on in the movie. The bad guy, I can't remember his name. I know I've seen him in other stuff. Was he Colonel Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine? He might have been, I don't know. But it's funny, the two people that's kind of his assistants, one is Tom Everett Scott, who would be in That Thing You Do. He was also in American Werewolf in Paris. And the other guy, I think it's the guy from Freddy vs. Jason. The guy who has a crush on Kelly Rowland. And then at one point, I think Jason or someone pushes him. And then he says he's alright, but then you realize he's bleeding to death and he dies sitting by this tree. I think that's him as the other guy. By the end, the story is that The Rock is his cab driver. We get a little bit of what his life is like. Pick up passengers. And these two kids. One's played by AnnaSophia Robb. I recognize her. She was in this film I reviewed not too long ago, Bridge to Terabithia, which I actually liked. Was a pretty good movie. Misleading marketing, because you look at the poster, the trailer, you think it's, this magical, kids enter a portal, go to a new world, see all these creatures. It's not. That's a very, very minute part of the movie. It's more about these kids getting to know each other, utilizing their imagination, and it's a lot deeper, more serious than the marketing led you to believe. She was good in that movie, so it was nice to see her in this. And the boy is Alexander Ludwig, which I don't know what else he did after this. But they want to be taken. They get this money. And of course, long story short, you find out that they are aliens. The girl, she can read people's minds. She could do stuff telekinetically. While the boy can phase shift. As in, he can shift through, he can move through cars, move through doors, things of that nature. If someone tries to hit him, it'll go through him. It's like him turned to a ghost or something. Like if I try to punch him, my fist will go through him. That type of thing. And like I said, most of the film is just this chase. Where at one point they're in the cab and they get a tap. The Rock thinks it's these mob guys trying to get him to do a job and come back. He's like, I'm out. So we see a little bit of his driving skills. Later on, when he gets them to this place in the middle of nowhere, At first he's gonna go, but he's like, hey, these are two kids, it's the middle of nowhere, let me make sure they're safe. And when he goes in, I like the line where he sees this fridge and he goes, don't go into the pimped out fridge, Jack. Okay. And sees that there's a lot more than what's going on. Like underneath this place in the middle of nowhere, this is like big garden with these eggs, and then he finds out, of course, more what's going on. Then there's a bounty hunter called the Siphon, played by Tom Woodruff Jr., who played the Xenomorph in a couple of the later Alien films. Decent suit. It's kind of like, it's a little bit like the Guyver among other stuff, that the suit done practically. And that's the thing, like, it's weird how at one point The Rock wanted to do a remake of Big Trouble in Little China. I'm like, you don't need to. You kind of did it with this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, Big Trouble in Little China is 100 times better than this movie, the original. I'm just saying, a guy who drives for a living, who gets into a crazy situation, in over his head, with some comedic elements, some action elements, and the guy's name is Jack, not Jack Burton, but Jack. I mean, like, you already did that movie. It's called this movie, Race to Witch Mountain. And that's the thing, just The Rock, just to see... I can't say his early beginnings, because that was Scorpion King in the early 2000s. But this is kind of him before he kind of settled into habits. Which, yeah, it does seem like the films, but at the same time, it does, but it doesn't. Again, I don't know if it's just because the way he looks is so different, or what, but maybe just more innocent times, I don't know. But I like the two kids, especially AnnaSophia Robb. I like The Rock. Very fast pace. I like the action scenes, whether it be the car chases. There's a point where the Siphon gets in the spaceship and is chasing towards them and firing at the taxi cab, and the taxi cab has been maneuvering while all these explosions is happening. At one point, it goes to a railroad tunnel, a track, and they have to make it in the nick of time. Yes, there's CG in there, but there's some decent practical elements as well. I may not be the most familiar with the original films, but I do know who the actors look like. And as I said, they're brought back into this movie in cameos in a respectable manner. And what I mean by that is there's a bit where after they've escaped and they get to this town, they get into this bar, or it's a bar, but it's also, a little restaurant thing. The original girl, she is the waitress there. The original boy, he's like the sheriff there. And when the government agents come in, they're the ones who help these folks get out of the situation. Where the sheriff, hey, you guys got guns, what's you guys' problem? And then the waitress helps them find a way to escape. So it's nice to see that, in respecting, like, these two are important, and we're going to help the new versions of us escape. And it's not just, hey, I'm here, no dialogue or no meaning to the story. Like what Dan Aykroyd is a taxi driver in Ghostbusters 2016, and some of these other shit that they do. That's around the same time where Cheech Marin is this auto mechanic who fixes up their taxi cab. I wish Cheech was in it more, because I like Cheech, but it's nice to see him in there. Like I said, the movie goes at a pace where it doesn't take too long for another action scene to happen again, because I like the actors involved. There's a good chunk of practical effects when they're escaping. The girls doing all this stuff to make these cop cars, agents' cars explode. they get this UFO expo. They talk to Carla Gugino. You find out what's really going on is that these kids, their parents were taken, jailed, just on their planet. Their planet is dying, and they had two choices: either find a way to save their own planet or invade Earth. Their parents found a way to save their own planet, but the military part, they want to invade no matter what. So now the kids have gotten this information. We need to get to a spaceship to go back so that we can stop the invasion. This bounty hunter is trying to stop us. The agents are trying to stop us. So they deal with Carla Gugino. They gotta deal with some of the mob guys. The Rock does. They try to get to Witch Mountain. The kids get captured. The Rock and Carla Gugino are able to get in there a bit quick, a bit easily. It's like they kind of find like one vent or something. They just open up and they go down this tunnel, and then they go down this other tunnel where there's like this fire going up, and then it just seemed a bit easy to get into Witch Mountain. I guess someone was cutting corners on security. And yeah, if you put a critical eye to this, the villains, like the agents, they're very one-dimensional. Like the main human agent villain. I mean, he's just so evil, and there's really nothing else to him. There's no depth. The other agents, like Tom Never Scott and the other guy, again, one-dimensional. There's really nothing else to them. You don't get a lot of depth on the characters, whether it be of The Rock or, other characters. It's definitely more about the action, the escapism, the chase, and I guess I say the eye candy. But, as a Disney film, compared to Disney films nowadays, there's no political BS. There's no politics. At least it's a very fast-paced film. The Rock, he still has that charisma that he had before. I can't put into words. I don't know, just something about the way he is nowadays. Just something manufactured and not natural. I'm not just talking about his body, but just, I don't know, just something about it just seemed a bit more weirdly innocent in this time period. Like I said, I like the action scenes. I like there's a decent amount of practicality in it. Like I said, the two kids, the boy has some animosity towards humans, but not overbearing. Like you can understand it. While the girl is sympathetic, but she's not annoyingly so, at least in my opinion. And yeah, I like Carla Gugino as an actress. She was also in Jet Li's The One. I think she was in Watchmen. Capable actress. Not all the humor works. Some of it, it's very, that Disney type of trying to be very cute. Like there's a bit where they find this dog and the girl can talk to the dog. There's a bit where the dog's in front and staring at the Rock. And the girl's like, the dog would appreciate it if it could stop to relieve itself. And the Rock's like, well, no, I'm not going to talk to a dog because I'm a man. It's a dog. But then the cuts to, he listens to the dog. And I mean, it was cute. But yeah, you just say, okay, is that cutesy Disney part that, to remind you it's a Disney film. So these cutesy parts. But I mean, I've seen much, much, much worse. Like, I could deal with it. Like, okay. But it wasn't anything egregious. There's no fart, did puke jokes or anything. Like, it's not a Disney film, but Mutant Mayhem, the Ninja Turtle movies. Like, here's April vomiting for 2 minutes and blah, blah, blah. Here's Splinter kissing a cockroach. Listen, I see Gary Marshall in there. The mob thing just kind of dropped. I guess you say in the casino, the UFO Expo part, these guys try to get through to the Rot. He beats them up pretty quickly, and then you never really hear of them ever again. Even at the end, when everything's fine and dandy and they're famous, they still don't hear anything about these guys. You think, okay, well, now this guy's got money. Okay, well, we'll see about that. But, like, that gets a bit dropped. But I did as well, because the alien stuff is much more on the front runner of the story. But I think you just enjoying the Rot. At this time, it's like, wow, the Rot. I mean, he was dealing with supernatural and the Scorpion King, but dealing with alien sci-fi type of thing, and I love when action heroes delve into that territory, and he's fighting this siphon creature, and he does a fuck you punch to it in the face as it goes down, gets obliterated. Granted, as much for the rating for a Disney movie, but yeah, he does the fuck you punch. Yeah, Rock, do it. So when I was rooting for the guy. So maybe just a reminder of simpler times, like I said before. But I still like the film. I still think it's a fun, escapism movie. It's not a classic. Wouldn't be my top 100 movies or anything. But when Disney movies, again, just wanted to be a piece of entertainment, not political mumbo jumbo bullshit. I think it's kind of a little bit underrated. It's just fun. It's fast paced, it's fun. Yes, not a lot of depth to it or anything, but as entertainment, I did enjoy it. So, with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.